We
every
start
time.
every week the same
This
exact
is
way.
8 times, and also you've done it before, but also you still say you don't remember you have to hit the button
Because
that says go
why?
live.
Why are there two different steps? If I say start broadcast, that should be the same thing as go live.
I actually like it better this way because
that's why you're not
no,
in
because
charge.
you start the broadcast
Yeah.
and then you start the stream.
Makes
Also,
no
side
sense.
note, I think all the audio levels are good. If you know what, wink.
If you, my description into this week on my post was my mic works. So if you are in
you are a bit quiet though. So I don't know if you can fix just like a little bit quiet.
Wow, do I need to move it closer? Is that better?
I don't know. Oh, actually, yeah, that is a lot better.
Oh, it was just too far. Anyways, it's your girl Kimmy, and with these two wonderful men, Woogie and Danny. It is the Illuminerdi with Crit. That is not how that goes.
I thought you were about to say white men. Which I guess, like, you're not wrong, but odd way to introduce somebody.
Yeah, I thought it was just only one good man. It's him.
Yes, it's definitely not you.
Yeah.
But we are glad to be back. We took last week off because I went to Netflix Is a Joke Fest, which is still going on this week. So if you like comedy and you are in the LA area, I would say check to see if tickets are still available for one of your favorite comedies or comedians. It's like over 400 shows over the last 2 weeks. It's been bonkers, but we're back. My mic is working. We have apparently some great stories to cover and not some great stories. Danny has been pissed this week.
I have some thoughts of this week's news.
But
sorry, you didn't leave any room after the comedy festival thing for me to put that in. So it may have sounded a little off, but it's your fault.
Oh, okay, I'll take blame for it. I didn't even know it existed, but sure. My name is Kimmy. I am a writer and gamer for the Illuminerdi. Danny is in the clouds. Woogie is down below in a prison with ghosts, apparently.
You know, the weird thing is, when I was describing what I wanted on my border, I never said anything about ghosts. You took that out of...
You said murder, and murder turned into death. And you know where ghosts come from? Death.
Right, but I said
then you
murder,
said swords.
not
and you did
not
say
post-murder.
swords. Well, you didn't clarify. Murder leads to ghosts. Ghosts it was.
Alright, I guess I'll take it.
Okay, but let's start this off with, what are you guys playing right now?
As per usual, I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2. And I'm playing Hades and V Rising.
Ooh.
Those are my 3 games this week.
Are you liking V Rising? That's the only game I really...
I've barely played it, but they sent me a code for it, and I'm reviewing it.
Isn't V Rising the name of that cyberpunk mod that uncensors?
I mean, I don't know, but maybe.
I think you're the only one who plays cyberpunk.
No, it was a joke.
I just never modded cyberpunk, so I don't. I know
neither
the person's name is
Neither
V.
did I. That was the.
I mean, it sounds like it could be the name of a mod, though. That wasn't a good joke. Try better next time, all right?
This is why he's not.
Hey, you're a little rusty. You're a little rusty after a week off.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't answering Discord calls. You didn't have anyone to test your jokes on.
I will say I am a little rusty, but I'm getting back into the swing of being me again.
Oh, I'm so proud.
I took a couple weeks off of honor mode runs because I couldn't stand the disappointment anymore. And I've started going back in time again. So let's see. I've been playing some Grand Theft Auto 5, GTA Online. That game's like 25 years old at this point.
You're not even playing the game from the past that everyone is fucking playing right now.
No. Here's the thing. Everybody is saying, right, that you say that everybody's playing it right now because it's on like #1 on Twitch and YouTube, right?
Yes.
GTA?
But they're not playing No, it is. No, GTA 5 is on all the top charts, but they're not just playing GTA Online or GTA 5. They're doing role play. And
I was
was
talking
just
about
playing.
Fallout. I'm talking about how the
Oh.
trend of Fallout being played from the past.
Oh yeah, no, I
and
stopped.
You are
I
like,
stopped. Yeah, I stopped playing Fallout as soon as everybody else started.
You're like, oh, this is trendy again. Can't play it. Gotta go back further, even further.
But I did have to. I've been playing some Balatro as well, but I just recently touched back on an old classic Kerbal Space Program.
Oh, classic
I've
but
been
a
doing some
goodie.
rocket building. Yeah, so that's just been chill. Next week I'll get back to losing.
Didn't that team get shut down?
Yes, and their property was, I believe, I could be talking out my butt, but I believe
than any other week.
KSP2 was not actually made by the team who was making it, but the name got bought and another team built it, and it was very poorly received. I may have some of those facts wrong, but it's something very similar to that.
Yeah, it was part of like the last week's Take-Two layoffs. They cut down 5% of the company's total workforce, or they want to cut down 5% by the end of 2024. And like it says, quote, the vast majority of private division staff has been let go.
That's
well, and private division is the KSP2 people.
Yeah, KSP2.
Yeah, so KSP1 though it was completely different. But not that I'm saying they deserve to be let go because of a shit game. Actually, that would be the reason why, but since it's not the reason why, that makes it really bad. But we don't want to talk about that. We want to hear what Kimmy's been doing in Disney Dreamlight Valley.
I haven't been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley, but if you like Disney Dreamlight Valley, then I highly recommend the game I have been playing, which is Echo Shit.
Echo Shit?
Oh, no, that's not what it's called. Echoes of Plum Grove. That's what it's called. Echoes of Plum Grove. It's a cozy game where everyone dies all the time, it feels like.
Doesn't sound very cozy.
That's cozy?
It is. You're like a colonist, and I say that because this is pre-Revolutionary War, not like the other bad one, but this is just you go into the tavern and there's
those are the good ones.
Those
are the good colonists.
That's true. That's true.
I thought when you said colonists and we said not that kind of colonists, I was like, oh, not space colonists, because that is what every game has. And you're like, no. The really racist ones.
See, I went the exact opposite. She said colonists. I immediately thought space colonists. And then she was like, no, not those. And I was like, oh, that's kind of problematic.
In my head, I thought I said colonizer. And I was like, that's not correct. But technically, it would be correct.
Wait, hold on. You say you're playing you said you're playing a cozy game where you play as colonists and everybody dies. You're not painting a great picture here.
Look, it's a great game.
All right. So anyway,
that's the game I saw you stay up like super late playing Steam a couple nights ago.
Yes, because I was sick and I had dysentery and I was trying to find the doctor.
Are you sure you're not playing Oregon Trail?
I'm not playing Oregon Trail.
Sounds like you're playing Oregon Trail.
But it is. It feels like it's a cross of Oregon Trail. So basically, in this game, you get over on a ship. The ship crashes in. Like, you start with all death. You're the only survivor of your ship surviving the crash. And then you get into this little town, and it follows some of the cool things it has your farming and your stuff like that. Very basic. Like, I would say Stardew Valley is like a step up in the sense of like gameplay. Like, there's more to mining, but mining's very simple in this game. Types of shit. Anyways, but the cool thing it has is what are the thingies? Family charts. Like the family just keeps growing and people die off, and then more family comes and more people die off. And so like if you have a family and you die off, then your next of kin would take over, and that's who you would play. But if you die and you have no family, then
are you talking about
dead.
The Sims?
No, this is This is Echoes of Plum Grove. It's amazing.
Okay.
I love it. Highly recommend it.
It does sound as much as I'm only giving this all shit for you, not the game. So
Yes.
It does seem like it does seem like it could be a good one.
It is a fun game. I like it. And it has a lot of different stats or a lot of different options. So, like, if you don't want to play a mini game, because their fishing game sucks. I'm sorry. I love this game. But you have to use WASD to, like, follow the fishing line. And it's not my favorite. But if you wanted something more cozy, less challenging. Shut up. Then you can change that. So it's very customizable to what you're looking for, which is also nice depending on how cozy you want to get. But please give us a segue into something away from this topic.
I still haven't finished Fallout. I had 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks. Listen, we made some progress. I've got 2 episodes left, and I'm actually hooked into the show now, as opposed to the week it came out when I wasn't.
Well, maybe
I think it's very good,
maybe.
and I can't wait to finish it. But I feel like I can guess the ending.
Yeah, I still haven't started it. I've been luckily I've been mostly staying away from spoilers, but of the spoiler like adjacent stuff, I hear that it does involve New Vegas and Mr. House in some way. So that's I don't think that's a spoiler. I believe that there's a lot of plot in there, but that's the only thing I've seen so far. I've been able to stay out of it, so I'm pretty happy. So don't tell me anything.
This is what I have to say. All of what I've said has not made it to audio the last 2 weeks. And it feels so exhausting to even think about every opinion I had. Because if you were following through and you watched the voiceless me, you would have probably seen I was animated and passionate about whatever it was I was going on about. So I still have not picked up since the last time I dropped off from 4, which was basically it shutting down after 15 minutes. But I've watched another reaction channel of all the 8 episodes. So I feel...
Same experience as playing Fallout 4.
Watch something else, man.
I feel like collectively, depending on the reaction channel, I've watched the series Fallout at least 3 to 4 times all the way through.
It does sound like that.
That's kind of
I
insane.
guess here, so as a good kind of closing to this topic, I think, because we fallouted the fallout of the Fallout.
Yeah.
I know that there's one thing to talk about for Fallout 76, but first, I did see something go around Reddit that I thought would be interesting.
Okay.
It was basically every faction in the Fallout universe. So you've got, of course, the NCR, you've got the Enclave, you've got the Brotherhood of Steel, you've even got Children of Adam, you've got the Brotherhood of Steel,
No idea.
the Enclave.
Brotherhood of Steel.
Brotherhood of Steel. No, but
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of them like Brotherhood of Steel. No, but I was saying like out of all of the factions out of any games, including NCR, including Institute from Fallout 4, right, including the Minutemen, or even going so far as to include Caesar's Legion, or a really small one like the Kings in New Vegas. Out of what you know of them, you don't have to. If you don't know one, it's fine. Which one would you actually
NCR.
want to be a part of?
NCR.
Like not in like a
California
gameplay
Republic.
sense, but like if it was
NCR.
you. Okay, let me finish talking.
NCR. 100%.
What about you, Danny?
I feel like I don't really know it. I can't remember anything about like any of the factions. I know like the Brotherhood of Steel, but like they're kind of assholes.
Yeah,
they do
so
have cool armor though. I'd choose the Minutemen. Fuck it. I feel like the Minutemen are.
I do
cool.
like the idea behind the Minutemen. I feel like if that was like a real faction, that Boston would just be not full of crap. Like they would get rid of it over time. But no, but the interesting thing was most people on Reddit picked the Followers of the Apocalypse, which is a very it plays a more minimal role in some of the games, but it's just like the idea behind hey, this all sucks, so let's help each other. and I'm like, I can get behind that. But
Makes
lots
sense.
of people were in on that, and I think honestly, I would probably dig either. I would probably be with the answer to. Let's be honest, but also I like what the Enclave has going for it. I think old America should come back into power. So Enclave all the way, baby.
NCR.
Wait. Engagement bait. Make sure that you let us know
Yeah.
what faction you would
Job,
be
Woogie.
in the comments, which are now hidden on some people's YouTube, which they're on the right side of your screen now. Under the description, you have to expand the comments to write one. So please do all of those actions, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so that you join Notification Squad. And hit that like button and share while you're at it. What other buttons do we have
Is
here?
there anything else you
Go
can
ahead and
ask
click
of
it.
our followers?
You know what? Report it. Report our video
Do
too.
not report our video.
It shows that we have engagement.
Well, and we can go back and see on the replay after it gets auto-captioned if when I said subscribe, the button lights up. Because they did do that, and it's really cool.
That's awesome. My thingy. Okay. Let's talk about what
Should we
happened.
talk about Fallout 76?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because I was mad at Phil Spencer, but, I mean, I didn't think he deserved that. I think it's kind of messed up.
My thing is, how old is Fallout 76? And has he really not been bombed at all?
Apparently, I can't find the exact quote, but I saw that. Okay, so for those who don't know, somebody nuked Phil Spencer's house in Fallout 76, his base. After this week's Xbox news that we'll get into later.
Yeah, dude, you don't need to know the news yet.
But apparently, the person who did it, they said that they weren't fueled by the news from this week, and that's just been their ongoing mission for a long time.
I'd like it even better if it was one step further. That was Phil Spencer's?
Yeah.
I just love that he's like...
I was just saving up for the nuke.
I just love that this guy's like, I want the credit for it, but I want people to know that I've really invested my time and energy into this operation. This
wasn't a spur of the moment decision.
I mean, I didn't even know you could control nukes in Fallout 76. So I imagine it's somewhat of a grind to get it.
That kind of shit in MMOs. Let's be honest.
I assume it's got to be some sort of grind to get it, or people would just be nuking each other 24/7.
Well, I mean, you look at the orbital cannon in Grand Theft Auto. Even if you're at the highest speed of gaining money would take you, I think it's 2 hours to buy, and then 2 hours for each shot. Just to kill one person once and then they respawn. So
well, GTA Online is entirely pay to win, but
yeah, but I mean, I feel like Fallout 76 would probably follow something like that, where you have to grind super hard for one nuke that works once, and then everything's back to normal. That's my thing. Is this doesn't really mean anything, right? We can all agree this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
no,
but it's funny.
It's one of those headlines that you're as you're reading it, you're like, oh my god, and then it's in Fallout 76. You're like, oh,
it's in Minecraft.
Yeah.
I feel
like what nuked Phil Spencer's home.
I also feel like it's one of those things too, where if it was real, you'd be like, ah, but because it's in a game, you're like, yeah, get him, nuke it.
Danny, tell me, why would gamers be outraged at Phil Spencer?
I guess I mean, the gist of it is that people are starting to realize maybe he's not this great gaming executive.
No,
but
I've been saying that forever. Bring back Major Nelson. Remember that? What was his name? His gamer tag was Major Nelson. He would do all the videos for Xbox 360. He had He always introduced himself with two names though.
He's still
he gave
around.
His name and his gamer tag.
He pops up every now and then.
He should be in charge of Xbox.
I mean, in Xbox's defense, it doesn't matter who's in that chair. Like, I don't think the outcome is changing at all. But yeah, if you missed it, earlier this week, Xbox shut down a couple of studios, including Arcane Austin, who most recently made Redfall, but before that, they were the Austin, Texas division of Arcane Studios, and so they made Prey and one other game I can't remember. But Tango GameWorks also got shut down, who made the critically acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush, and Alpha Dog Studios and Roundhouse Games. All got shut down this week. And people are very angry. Specifically for Tango, because like technically, like Arcane as a studio is still fine. It's just Arcane Austin. And they said that a lot of not just because a lot of these studios are shutting down doesn't mean everyone's losing their jobs. A lot of people are just moving to different teams. Like Roundhouse Games is merging with ZeniMax Online Studios, and I would imagine a decent chunk of Arcane Austin is probably just going to go back, or will just start working for the larger Arcane studios. But Tango GameWorks, coming off of literally the best Xbox exclusive in like the last decade, Hi-Fi Rush, got shut down, and they're just done. Yeah, they're not merging with anyone. They're not going to different studios. Like, they're just done. They made the best Xbox game that you could buy, and won a bunch of awards for it, and even had Phil Spencer and other executives like vote of confidence saying that they can't wait to work with Tango to make more games like Hi-Fi Rush, just to shut down this entire studio this week, with pretty much no warning. So
I would say
there's
it's
that.
like there's definitely half of this that's ringing true of the whole. I mean, Google's doing it, Tesla's doing it, where they're just deciding like every time they'll add 5% more to they'll add another 5%, so that way it's another 5% and it doesn't add together to 10%. But just laying off a bunch of people for the numbers. But that first one, I think getting rid of the Redfall studio was a fantastic idea. So like I can get behind that.
It's not, though. It's not a fantastic idea, because they got like practically they had Redfall thrown at them, trying to continue Xbox's plan of capitalizing on live service games. And then they got one strike with Redfall, which was really bad from what I understand, but they got one strike and their entire studio got shut down because of it, because they were doing what they were told to do and make a live service game.
Apparently though, it wasn't because of that, right? Apparently,
allegedly, yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're going to say, the 2 million consecutive players of Hi-Fi Rush is, then Redfall definitely deserves it. But if they're not saying it's attributed to that, then yeah, then it's just random.
They said that it was, what was the quote? Good old Matt Booty, the head of Xbox, in the email to the staff that got laid off, said, "We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games." If a game like Hi-Fi Rush isn't your priority, your studio is not being run as it should be. Your most successful game, your most successful exclusive, the entire thing people have been complaining about Xbox is that they do not invest in their exclusives. Instead, they go out and just keep buying all these studios, and now they don't have enough people working to run these studios efficiently, and so now they're closing these studios in favor of your Call of Duties, your Bethesda games that aren't going to come out for another decade. Like, their priorities are just completely out of touch and just and that's why a lot of people are hopping on Phil Spencer, because he's the head, like he's the fucking head honcho. You know, he's the one making all these decisions in the end, and it's just like it just seems like Xbox is done for. Like I have zero faith in the future of Xbox. I don't even want to support them at all anymore. I was considering getting a Series X. That's no
I
longer a
want used.
consideration.
Buy
That's
it used, and then it's literally taking money
yeah,
away from them.
and it's just like I don't see a future. I don't care like that Gears of War is getting an announcement next month, like, and you know eventually they'll talk about their Fable game again. Like at this point, I don't care because no game is safe. Clearly, if Hi-Fi Rush isn't safe, then no game is safe. It doesn't matter how big it is. If it's not doing Call of Duty numbers, or if Xbox Game Pass subscribers drop to below a certain threshold, then studios are just getting cut without any remorse. And so I'm absolutely done with Xbox.
I
But
think
how do
that
you
it
feel?
really is like and we've seen this happen with other industries as well. It's like 3 breakout studios have hits. The large studio basically tries to monopolize by just buying them, and they do it. And then over time, the quality gets shittier and shittier until we don't have anything left, and then somebody new has to come along to do it. I mean, that was with anything that Amazon buys. You know, it used to be like good, and then over time, it was like, oh, then Amazon bought it. It was okay still for a bit, and then it turned to shit.
Yeah.
Same thing with what was the other thing I was thinking of? There was another thing that I was thinking of that wasn't video. Oh, social media. Facebook buys everything, and now everything is shit. Like it's like Instagram was cool that Facebook bought it. You know, like that's how everything is there. And then now games as well. And those companies did the same thing. They would take a product or a company that was doing very very well and just get rid of them. And so I think that this is just something that unfortunately has to happen. And it's too bad that these companies were the ones that took that bullet. But within the next few years, we'll probably see a few more like Larians pop up.
Yeah, and it's like another quote from good old Matt Booty is he says these changes are grounded in prioritizing high impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games.
That was what I was saying.
Keep in mind, this is the same company that Redfall was a high impact title when it was in development. Starfield, love it or hate it, was a high impact title while in production, and it was not successful. And what wasn't a high impact title, Hi-Fi Rush wasn't considered a high impact title, and it is probably more. I mean, I don't know. Starfield probably sold more than Hi-Fi Rush did, just off of hype. But Hi-Fi Rush is an indie game that sold like millions of copies. Like
I'll be a hundo. I had never heard of Hi-Fi Rush until this story.
That's unfortunate.
And I'm a rhythm game person. I'm probably better than both
water.
of you combined at Rock Band. Like it's just a fact. It's not bragging. It's just how it is. But
that's because we stopped playing it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was your mistake. But I think the biggest thing is like if you read between the lines here, and you know like stuff like, for example, you know when FIFA and Madden, why do they continue to release every year when we can clearly identify that they are complete shit? It's because that's what they mean by high impact. They want the ones that they can invest the least amount of time into and make the most amount of money on.
Yeah, and if it's at this point, if you're not putting up Call of Duty numbers at Xbox, you're just not safe. And like Call of Duty, outside of like whenever Hogwarts Legacy came out last year, has always been the number one selling game every single year. And so if you're not putting up those like ridiculous numbers, and you're not moving some like arbitrary goalposts that the executives at Xbox determine where they land, then like you're just done. And then like you have like Hellblade 2 comes out like 2 weeks, and they've done zero marketing for it. Like you don't hear about it at all.
I didn't know what Hellblade 2 was when you said it.
And it's another one of Xbox's exclusives. And like Hellblade 1, I never played it, but it's critically acclaimed, and everyone who played it
Oh,
loved it.
that was the one. That was the one that in 2020 there were, or like 2021, or it was like right before or after the pandemic. There was a big Xbox announcement, and it was like and zoomed in, and there was like a woman with skull
Yeah.
face paint, and that's the one, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like,
like again, another critically
I remember that.
acclaimed exclusive made by a smaller studio. They're not doing any marketing for it, and after this Hi-Fi Rush news, like everyone's just expecting Xbox to shut down Ninja Theory because Hellblade 2 isn't going to put up Call of Duty numbers. And it's just like it doesn't make any sense. I can't stand this company
Wait,
whatsoever.
give me a favor. Can you go back and you can take this and put it in here now, make an edit. My impression of the girl from the trailer of Hellblade 2, and put it side by side with the
With the
actual
actual
to show exactly what I'm talking about, so that I don't look crazy.
No,
That would be really great.
we're just gonna leave
The
it the way it was.
the only good thing, the only good part of this entire Xbox drama this week was Mike Ibarra, the like former president of Blizzard who now just like works at Xbox. He like his did you guys see his tweet where he was like,
No.
"Guys, I know we're going through a tough time and everything, but really you guys shouldn't be too hard on Phil Spencer. He's struggling just as much as everybody else is." Yeah, I got the pulled up. So it says, I see a lot of shots of Phil over today's Xbox announcements. I get it, but knowing him as a human, I know this hurts him as much as anyone else. I can't speak for all of the leadership there, but I do know him, and I do know what he is likely going through. That's just the first paragraph of his 4-paragraph tweet that I'm not going to read, but he has been getting cooked alive.
Dude,
I did see his
when
message.
middle management and executives get this idea that like you don't understand the anguish that he goes through when he drives to work in his $2 million Rolls Royce
Yes.
to,
Like
to go and do you know he has to lay off each one of those individual people? Well, he has to just sign off on somebody else picking them, and he's probably never. But that's a lot of people on his conscience.
like
And
I'm sure it's not like I'm sure Phil Spencer doesn't like inherently want to close these studios, and I'm sure it was probably a difficult decision to make, but to insinuate that he's going through just as much as the people who just lost their jobs, and as he drives home in his $1 million car to his $1 million mansion where he still has millions of dollars in the bank
to be
account.
fair, his house would cost more than his car.
Yeah. And this dude is literally set for life. He never has to work a single day, and his family is set for the next 3 generations or whatever. He's going through just as much as these people who now have to pay their bills and actually pay for the cost of living without a job. Like, oh my god, dude's an idiot. Honestly, it's the dumbest tweet I've ever seen.
I really want to hear more rage against the Phil and Mike types. Do you have anything else? Because I'm eating this up. You are in a rare element tonight, and I love it.
I went off on Twitter earlier this week when it was happening.
Wait, what's Twitter?
I went off on X.com.
No,
it's Twitter.com.
It's Twitter. Yeah, you were writing it in all caps. You went like angry boomer. All caps.
It's just so stupid, dude. Like, and I'm one who's like, until recently have really liked Phil Spencer. And I loved, growing up and watching every single Xbox press conference. And I was an Xbox kid growing up. I just can't. I refuse to give any money to this company for anything anymore.
That's why you're so passionate. I was a PlayStation kid, and I'm just like, cool. What?
Like, I mean, I'd probably, if I had to be one or the other now on PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation's no better. They just,
right,
hide it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Here's what you do. Everybody needs to do this at some point, and everybody should do this at some point.
What?
You take a look and you say, all right, what does Xbox offer that I can boycott? But you take it one more step further. What company owns Xbox? Oh, okay, Microsoft. I can't possibly boycott Windows, but you're wrong. You actually can.
Is this
There's
a
a
Linux
you
thing?
can install. It was gonna be, but you ruined it. So
The weekly Woogie's weekly Linux mention.
well, all I'm saying is the Steam Deck is Linux. You can too. That just a simple little.
Put that on a t-shirt,
Can you,
Woogie.
can you edit it? Can you edit it? Zoom in on me. Zoom in on me. Edit it. Zoom in on me. Steam Deck can. You can too. And then put a little penguin because that's their logo. And then that's the thumbnail. Okay, thanks.
Like I don't know, dude. Like it just
We need,
every
we need audio. We need audio sync for that so that she can see where it is. All right.
yeah, we heard that. It's just I don't know. It couldn't be easier to boycott Xbox too because they've seemingly given up on being a
I can't.
gaming company.
The only thing that they have right now that I'm even remotely interested in playing is Sea of Thieves, but that's because they actually have been working on it.
And
there's
again,
not one
like
Xbox own thing. I mean,
you have to buy the game from them, sure, but like
I
you
already
can play,
bought Skyrim
you
and
don't need an
Fallout.
Xbox to play it, and it's just like now there's like talks, there's like rumors that send like the Hellblade 2 is going to come to PlayStation, and it's just like, and they're like they literally
So?
don't care about exclusives unless it has a Bethesda or Activision logo in front of it. And honestly, if that's what you want for your future, I'm more than happy to never buy an Xbox again because I honestly don't care for either of those companies at this point.
I come
PC
from
all
a
the
different.
way.
I come from a different era. So we had exclusives, but we didn't have wars over exclusives. We knew what we had. You know, we went in to buy the system, and then the exclusives showed up, and we had our differences. But those of us that had Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s when they first came out, along with the GameCube, we were excited for a game to come out that we thought wasn't going to be cross-platform and was, and we enjoyed that we could still have the console that we were comfortable with and that was our home console without having to brag about an exclusive game. I don't get it. I don't get the idea that getting rid of exclusive games somehow kills a console. It's like the PlayStation 5 menu is so sterile that like it wouldn't work as a console for my living room and my kids. Like the content centric dashboard of the Xbox, that's what I'm buying into. I'm buying into the OS. I'm buying into that. I don't give a shit about exclusives. But I know we're from different generations, so it's
How old are you, Woogie?
I'm like I don't think that there is any form of console war anymore because I feel like both Xbox and PlayStation have just given up. And like
that's fair.
there's pros and cons to that, don't get me wrong. Bring back the console war. I'm ready for it. It was the Xbox 360 era and the PlayStation 3 era and then into the Xbox One and PS4. That was when both of these companies were at their best. Like they wanted people to buy their consoles and so they invested in plenty of exclusives on both sides. And now that both PlayStation 1, of course, if you won, like the PS4 crushed the Xbox One. And then ever since then, the new console generation kind of the same, but like at this point it doesn't matter and no one cares about it. Neither company is
I
like
say
battling each other anymore.
bring on the death of the console. I've said this before, not in this show, but I have said before. The next generation of consoles will be the last. We can't do any more to differentiate them. There's nothing left to make better. The graphics can't get better. The loading times can't get better. The interface can all be done via software. There's nothing that they can do because of, unless they're going to spend $1,000, their chips aren't going to be faster, and then it's not, nobody's going to pay for that. I think they will make one last ditch attempt, not including Nintendo. They don't count. They're in their own whatever. Because the Switch 2, if that even ends up existing, is going to still be miles behind everything. But I think this next generation will be the swan song of the console and the rise of affordable PC and handhelds like Steam Deck.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just competition in these kinds of markets is always good, and the fact that Microsoft, Xbox just threw in the towel, and so Sony, that means Sony doesn't have to try anymore, and that's why there's also an exclusivity problem with the PlayStation 5 and why people are angry that they're trying to now move away to the next console generation when this current console generation on both sides barely has any games.
Is
And
this
it's
why
just
Mary Jane is ugly? Is this why?
yeah, that's why Mary Jane is quote unquote ugly but just looks like a normal person. But no, like
No, she doesn't look like a normal person. She looks like a man.
but yeah, like Xbox just throwing in the towel and like shipping all of their exclusives to every other platform. Like, yeah, in again, pros and cons to both sides of this argument, but it's just like you've just given up. And so now nobody is trying. And now both sides of what used to be a console war are just so boring and don't have hardly any like substance to them.
And the ones we
And
do want to try, like Epic Games, when they're like, we're going to make a launcher that rivals Steam, and they're just still 5-6 years later complete shit. Like, the competition we do have doesn't even seem to want to be moving.
but like they kind of threw in the towel too. Like they haven't outside
they're still saying they're the best and they're going to be improving and stuff. I'm like, they haven't had a new feature in 5 years. So
yeah, like ever since they started giving away games for free, like I
that
don't
was day one.
I couldn't tell you. Was that day one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure
always
they
done.
launched with Fortnite. Like that was their first game.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like free to play, yes. But then
Yeah.
they didn't do like the monthly free
I thought
games
they
or whatever.
I thought they always did.
No, they started that for sure later on. But like I feel like that's the only thing I could tell you that they added to the Epic Games launcher. So like I don't, and that was at this point like 5 years ago or whenever. Like they've also just given up, and that's fine. There's some places that need competition, and some places that don't need competition. PC game launchers don't need competition because there's clearly one that works and one that works better than any of the other ones that are going to work.
Maybe,
But like consoles are just it's just so boring, man, and it's so sad to see because like when I was growing up, dude, I loved watching E3 and I loved watching all of these like who won E3, like comparing Microsoft and Sony's press conferences and like all this hype that all that would generate. And then like you would have your friends who were PlayStation friends and you had your Xbox friends and like no one like was necessarily angry at one or the other, but like it was like a fun little competitive rivalry. And it gave us really good games. And like, yeah, you couldn't play with each other, which did suck, but you know, there was plenty of Xbox exclusives. There was plenty of PlayStation exclusives. Like, I feel like the industry, I mean, the industry as a whole is still thriving, like in terms of making money, but like, I feel like the industry was just like really thriving back then, and everyone was a lot happier when there was a console war. I feel like.
Speaking of console war, I don't have a good segue for that.
I was really wondering where you were going.
I needed to. I could tell that if I didn't pry you off of this topic, that we would not take it from your cold dead hands.
What are you
so,
talking about? This is the whole episode. We're gonna
It's
change
the biggest
title
news.
No,
to
there
Danny
actually was.
Rages.
There is one interesting, funny thing that is a segue that I noticed with all of your stuff. The console wars have not involved Nintendo for some time. Like all of your stuff was all Xbox and Sony because of course it is, and everybody knows that. Yeah, I'll probably get the Nintendo console, but it's not going to be what I main, you know, or if it is, then that's like if you have a friend and their main console is a Switch, you pray for them, right? Like it's not.
Don't say that.
But
it's not COVID times anymore. Let's upgrade, all right? It's
but
No. I'm
Nintendo.
gonna be on the
Okay.
opposite side here for all of my cozy girlies who only have a Switch. You're fine. You keep doing you.
No. That's if with the Switch, if you own a Switch for cozy games, then it's not a console; it's a handheld. So it's not that I'm with Nintendo in the console wars. It's
True.
oh I've got a Switch. It's not. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Because that was like when there were people that were like, oh, you have Xbox or PS3, and they'd be like, I have a Nintendo Wii. And you'd
Well, that's
be
the thing. Like
oh.
Nintendo, you always had. It was just implied that
Yeah.
everyone would have a Nintendo console. Like, yeah, you would choose your side with Xbox or PlayStation, but at the end of the day, you also paired that with whatever Nintendo's latest console
That's
was.
true.
But as you didn't mention Nintendo announcements at E3, because they don't usually make their announcements at E3, I believe there was a recent Nintendo Direct. Was there anything interesting that came out of this Nintendo
Why
Direct?
don't you just pitch the story if you know it?
No, I'm wondering that first. We talk about what did happen, so then we can open up this big nothing burger afterwards and just eat it up.
Okay.
Honestly, not that I can remember. Was there any interesting thing to come out of the Nintendo Direct?
Damn, not one thing.
Okay,
I didn't
so
even know that there was one recently. Like, that's how I have not heard of it.
That was how this whole thing started. Was they said we're gonna have a Nintendo Direct and there will be nothing about the new Switch. And then the post came out.
Clearly, Woogie is more educated on this
Anyway,
than both of us.
Or I'm just really wrong and I had a dream about it.
I do think there was a Nintendo Direct, but I think it was like I think it was like a more minor one.
Oh like yeah, it was minor anyway, but they specifically said we're not going to announce anything Switch 2 related with this.
And then they proceeded to announce something Switch 2 related.
But they didn't. They didn't. This is what I'm talking. No, nothing. More nothing. Some poorly translated tweet, or X, if you will, mentions from an executive that isn't part of the creative team. So really, I think a lot of people on that team were probably like, oh fuck, we have this deadline now. But a very hard to read, poorly translated tweet mentioned that the successor of the Switch, or the second version of the Switch, it wouldn't be. I believe, reading between the lines, it seemed like it wasn't going to be a next gen console. It was going to be more of a Switch refresh, but they may not call it the Switch 2. We know that much. And they say that it will be announced before the next fiscal year.
Yes.
Their fiscal year ends in
I think next March. Yeah.
And so all the headlines are reading is that not there is an announcement, not we know anything at all, and not anything except for we will know before April. And I think that is the stupidest way of like, there could have been, the first outlet went with that and everybody else went with that, and nobody stopped to think that's a really stupid way of saying it. But yeah, that's
they're in that same announcement. They said that they're hosting a direct in June that will talk about the lineup, the future lineup of the Switch.
Okay.
So the tweet says, "This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year."
I'm gonna interpret as you read. This is the paraphrase. So, successor to the Nintendo Switch. Notice they didn't say Nintendo's next console. They didn't say, that's why I'm saying this is where I'm getting that part of it. Continue, please.
It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015.
Okay, stop there. This is how I know it's poorly translated. Will have been is a past perfect participle. Nobody just writes those. That's a translator. Anyway.
Yes, the original tweet is in Japanese.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that this probably made a lot more sense in Japanese, but then we're trying to do the literal translation into English, and that's how we get headlines like, we're going to know about the Switch before April.
We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024. But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation.
So it hasn't happened yet. They were talking about the June one. Go back, can you start the beginning of that?
Oh my God.
We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch.
So what that means is that they're going to be holding a presentation in the month of June.
Yes.
That was what I was reading in that.
I think, yeah. So of course, like they're not going to talk about the Switch 2 or whatever in June, but from what this sounds like to me, is that the successor of the Switch is their next console.
Yeah, it's definitely
And like
imminent.
in June, there might be a new model announced of the current Switch, kind of like the OLED, like a new OLED model or
Leaving
something
it
like
open
that.
for that, yeah, because they very specifically said nothing about the successor.
Nothing about the
and
successor, but they
they
will talk
talked
about the software
software.
lineup.
Yeah.
And currently they only have the OLED because I think they discontinued the normal one. I guess like the handheld
Well,
one. There
and
could be a new
the
handheld.
minis.
The Switch Lite, like a light OLED. I could see them doing that, and that would be kind of lackluster.
They
Just
wouldn't
like it's
spend the money for an OLED on a light.
perfectly like encapsulates Nintendo.
If I had to guess, Switch Super, the Super Switch, and what it is it will have a similar but slightly more powerful system on a chip. But
yes,
more than that, it will have better cooling, and so you won't. There's no like games for it, but
yeah.
games that you have will run better on it. That's what they're gonna announce. Super Switch.
I
You heard
like
it
you
here.
said you talked about how like this announcement is like a whole bunch of nothing. I'm kind of glad they made this announcement because it was like, I mean, we covered it on this show. Like, it was like every other week there was a new Switch 2 rumor. And this kind of like more or less puts those to bed for the time being and just like wait to see what it is. Because there was a whole lot of rumors of it releasing this year, it releasing next year, which games were going to be a launch title. Like, this game is going to be a launch title. This game is going to be a launch title. It's going to be Metro. No, it's going to be Mario Kart. Like, let's just shut up. Let's just see what they got. Like,
we can start by saying Metroid will never be a launch title. That's not gonna happen. Sorry, nobody likes Metroid enough for that.
And so I'm just, I will say I did see there was a rumor about this successor, but it's probably entirely fabricated just because of how early and
Still
how
want to
close
hear
to
it.
this it was. But it was saying that power wise, the console would be somewhere in between the PS4 Pro and the Xbox Series S, which could end up being the case. But like, I feel like the rumor is fake just because like anybody could have guessed that the console would be somewhere in that. Like, it's of course it's not going to be a PlayStation 5
it's the
console.
7/8 of a generation behind that Nintendo always is.
Yeah, so it's like it's probably just somebody making shit up, and because it's like it's just such low hanging fruit. Like, it's so easy to, pick a console range and just say Nintendo's is going to be in there. What if their next console is the GameCube 2? That would be crazy.
I think they should bring back the Game Boy. I mean, it's not a console, but not the Game Boy. What is it? The original Nintendo. Just bring that back, but nicer, with more updates.
They tried
stuff.
that, and it sucked. There a bunch of the companies did it, and what they did was like the stupidest thing. People were like, "Give me a re-release of the NES," and they were like, "Oh, you mean a miniature version of it that doesn't work quite right, and it doesn't have the right plugins, and there's no cartridges, and we put the games on it, and also we're gonna get in trouble because we're definitely running emulators that we're saying we're not running because there's evidence of it." Like and then Sony did the same thing with the PS1 mini. I'm like, that's not what we said. Nobody said that.
Yeah, and with like backwards compatibility, like there's no point in these companies investing in like a full scale like replica of these old consoles.
Bring back the Virtua Boy.
What the fuck's
that was the
Virtual
shit.
Boy?
I think I had
Virtual
one
Boy.
of those.
Is that a game?
It's a system. You set it on like a table this high.
I did not have
and
this.
Then it's red, and it's got like rubber goggles on it, and you do this, and what it had multiple layers of a red screen, so it was in 3 dimension, like it was 3D, because of how the lights worked, but it was
You're
all
such a
red
tech nerd
pixels.
sometimes, man.
I'm not the only person to ever know about the Virtual Boy. I got to play it though once at, I believe they had it up at a Target or maybe this was before Target, like a Kmart or something.
A
But
media
like,
play.
What?
Down by Fry Guys.
You know what media play is? Did you ever go to a media play when they were around? That may
no,
have just
no,
been
no,
like
no,
a
no, no.
southern thing. I
That
don't
was
know.
a southern thing. Yeah,
I've
we had
never heard of one in
FYE.
California.
We had FYE and Electronics Boutique, which,
We had
of
Circuit
course.
City.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Circuit City.
yeah,
Okay.
Circuit
Everybody has
City.
to. No, we had in Colorado. We had Electronics Boutique, which of course everybody knows. Eventually turned into EB Games, and then
Oh yeah.
finally GameStop. So there's your history lesson for the day.
Look, he got one in, y'all.
Media play was in 19 states,
I thought you were gonna
and the
say
first store
19
was in
something.
Illinois.
It would have been really funny if you're like, and the first store was in Colorado, and I'm like, oh.
Tell me how many stores? What states was it in? I don't know. Media play used to be my shit when I was a kid. I would just go there and play all the game demos.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We had our. This was again. Come with me back in time. Boop, 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 boop. Boom, boom.
Out of all the sounds, that's not what you have.
Sears. Well, no, I don't have any sounds that aren't the default Discord soundboard because none of the other soundboards are enabled on the server. No, what I was going for was like the Back to the Future. Anyway,
Continue.
what we had was Sears. We would have a limited amount of time while our mom went shopping, where they had like usually 2 demo consoles, but sometimes one of them wasn't on, and of course one of them was the Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 at the time was demoing. The demo that was live was Super Mario 64, right? So, and it was great. And they had this built-in thing that was really good if there was a line and really horrible if there wasn't. After, like, it had a timer. It was like 3 minutes. And no matter what you were doing, it would just stop, go black, and a recording of Mario would say, "Oh, who's next?" And so, like, it would be really good. Like, if there's a line where it'd be an obvious thing where, like, whoever was playing it would have to leave and the next person would play. But if there was nobody else there, you just had to see how far you could get before the console turned off. And you're like, I just did this. So that's my experience.
See, as a kid, I didn't go to any of these like places. We had a Burger King. We had a Burger
Burger's King.
Burger's King.
We had a Burger King.
That's like how you say there's the plural of attorney general is attorneys general. The plural of a Burger King is Burger's King.
Anyways, we had a single Burger King that in the playpen there was different games that had like the big screens and you could play, and we didn't have any 3-minute timer. Those were like.
Are you sure that was Burger King and not McDonald's? Because that's what McDonald's did.
Positive it was Burger King. I will die on that hill. It is now a Starbucks, but it was a Burger King.
I went to Burger King a lot as a kid, and I remember playing games there.
Maybe I just had a ghetto Burger King.
Said not for you.
It was probably a both. I imagine both of them had.
The best thing to come out of Burger King and video games, I think we can all agree, is the hit Xbox 360 game Sneak King, where you played as the Burger King King, and the entire goal was to sneak up on sleepy people to cheer them up with some Burger King. And you got point. It was like Naughty Bear, how you got extra points for a stab if you scare the bear first. It was the same way. If you could not be detected and then pop up and offer them something.
It was free, right?
Yeah.
Was it a free game? Yeah, bro. The Xbox 360 had
I think so.
So many of those like random, like, what was it? Did you ever play Doritos Crash Course? Bro, Doritos Crash Course there's 2 of them. It got a sequel. It's just like you have like a little avatar and you like run them through like a Ninja Warrior obstacle course, and that was the entire game. And you would like race each other so you could finish first.
That's
and
like
it was the shit.
That's like the Disney handhelds that were in the 90s off their movies. It was like 3 levels and that's it. But that shit would take hours to pass.
Yeah.
And it's just like getting from point A to point B and not getting
I
hit by
had,
something.
and it was also like back in the day where like there wasn't any like checkpoints.
Nope.
There was no saves. Like you just had to beat the game in one run, or you just started from the beginning. Like I had a Tarzan game for the Game Boy that I never beat, and like they would give you like the level codes, but you would never write it down, and so you would never remember the level codes. And so every time you die, you just start from the very beginning of the game over and over again. Never beat it.
There's always that joke. What was it, Sega that had the Lion King game that traumatized the whole generation?
Yeah.
That and the Aladdin game.
The Aladdin game was good. No. I mean, if we're just gonna keep going back in time, when I was growing up, we had Ataris that were actually computers, and we played on big floppy disks that were actually floppy. That's where they get the
I'm
name.
old enough to be at the end of floppy disks.
Oh yeah, no, me too. But we had a bunch of old Ataris in our basement, and they had the floppy disks, and it was amazing.
My
I
first.
come to find out, I finally looked it up to see what they were. They were the oldest of the old Ataris. Like, they don't even show up on emulator websites because of how shit all of that stuff was.
I used to say my first like game that I ever played on was like a Game Boy, because I remember playing in the backseat as like the lights would go by at nighttime because it didn't have a black screen or a light screen.
Kids these days do not know.
Yeah, but in reality, it was a PC. It was like the big square of an apple with the floppy disk, and you'd put it in, and it would be like a little color room, and it'd be like, choose this, whatever, and then it'd be like different games for kids. That
was it
like,
was it Kid Pix?
I don't
Was
know
it like
if
the art? Was it an art game that you could like dribble things?
I did have Kid Pix, but this one is different.
Okay.
It feels like it was like an Eureka Castle game.
Danny, go do some bottle flips and dab or something while we talk about this.
I'm not that young.
I was gonna say, how old do you think he is?
Oh, did you guys ever have the lamp attachment for your Game Boy?
No.
I had two different ones. One of them sucked, and one of them was good.
I remember, like leaning against the car window to like get like the light. I remember doing that even when I had the lamp attachment to shine on my screen, because it was so shit.
My dad
I had a worm light.
It was, this is how I played games, this is how you'll play games, suffer.
I mean, it wasn't much of an improvement. Like, you still needed like a completely pitch dark room for it to like.
My problem was the one that I have that was really good because it just plugged right into like the link port and it took power that way, so you didn't have to have like separate batteries for it, which was great. But it was like one really bright LED, and back then, you know how they were. And so, like, it had to be just the right angle for there to be light on it, but not have a giant reflection of a giant LED. So I had to figure that out.
Oh my. Back in the day when the only, like, game on your phone was a game called Snake, and the only game on your computer was, like, Solitaire to begin with. Or no,
Free Cell.
Yeah.
Do you wait, one more throwback, and this might only be a Woogie question. Do you remember on the Windows there was a game where you were a skier?
Yeah, Ski Free.
Yeah.
You play it online now. Did you know you can beat it? You can outrun the Yeti. That's like a whole thing.
Snowball.
No, it's a Yeti.
It's a snowball. It was a snowball. It started off as a snowball. I'll die on that hill.
It might have just been a couple of polygons, and so you couldn't tell the difference between a Yeti and a snowball.
So this is the thing. Here's the thing.
I know! I got hit by it multiple fucking times!
Let me explain to you what's happening.
Oh, is the Yeti throwing the snowball?
No, let me talk. Let me speak!
Typical Woogie mansplaining everything.
When you crashed, you would look like you were in snow, and there were bumps in the snow that resembled snowballs. But what would happen was, you would get to the end, didn't matter how many times you crashed, you wouldn't die, you would get to the finish line, and then as you would go, and then this Yeti would run across the screen and grab you and eat you, and then jump and be like, but if you didn't crash while he was chasing you, you could actually get away from him. and there
There
was more.
certainly is a Yeti. I don't know what I was expecting. This was not what I was.
Literally look at me, and I'll tell you. I'll show you exactly what it looked like. So he had like
The
2
picture.
ovals. He had 2 ovals for his body that were gray, and then he had stick figure arms and hands, and then teeth and like eyes, and I think he had eyebrows. And when he ran, he would run across the screen, and it would be super fast and scary. And then he'd grab you, eat you in about 5 frames, and then jump like this.
I do not.
So watch the video.
This.
Watch the video and tell me how good I am.
This game looks like it was made in like paint, and I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, yeah. Play Ski Free. Everybody, do that, and then you'll see how good my impression of the Yeti was, because it is spot on. I played that game so much.
Do you think if Ski Free released today, it would be a success or a disappointment?
Success. Well, okay, wait. Let me rephrase that. Would it be a game that's like never been seen before, or would it be releasing as like a new version off the old game?
Like a new version of the old game.
I think it would succeed, because I think there's so much attached to that old game, the original, that so many people would jump on just to be like, hell yeah, let's support like a throwback situation.
I wouldn't pay for that. It was less than 1 level. It wasn't even a complete level.
But if they launched
I'm not going to pay for that. No, it would not be successful.
Whole game worth launching.
But there's nothing else to do. You ski downhill and jump over stuff and crash into stuff. There's nothing more you can add from that.
I have to tell you, in my brain, in my kid little brain, I feel like there was so much more because I never made it to the end. I always died.
There was one thing. There was a certain type of rock, and I don't know why I remember this or why this was, because there were 2 types of rocks. There was a gray rock, and there was a smaller brown rock. Danny, are you looking this up?
Yeah.
Look up big gray rock and smaller brown rock. And when you crashed into the smaller brown rock, it would turn into a mushroom.
What?
I see the mushroom. I see the mushroom.
Yeah, I'm not lying. You don't need to say it like you're surprised I'm not lying. I know these things. But it doesn't make any sense, because if you crash into anything else, he just crashed and then you got up. And if you clicked multiple times, you could make him flip, and there were like little rainbows. They looked like rainbows, but I guess they were supposed to be like ramps. And then there were these little brown rocks, and when you tripped over them, they would turn into mushrooms. They never explained why.
But they could with the new one.
Wait, hang on.
They could put a story.
Wait, give me a sec. I almost transformed. Give me a sec. I think I can do this. And they tripped over the brown rocks, and they turned into mushrooms. No one will tell you why. You know, you go and you just think it was funny. Sorry, that was my Tucker Carlson talks about Ski Free. It could be better. It could be better. I'll do better next time.
I thought you were doing a really shitty Christopher Walken.
Oh, that is actually really shitty Christopher Walken is a good guess.
Well, you know, Ski Free. If the developers decided to bring back Ski Free today, it may or may not succeed. But another developer trying to revive a dead game is EA with Battlefield. I've never seen a game be somewhat kind of announced and also disregarded so quickly in my life.
Wait,
since Ski Free.
The segue was just...
You like that segue?
I
applauded it.
I wasn't even going to mention it.
I applauded that segue.
You were waiting for us to shut the fuck up.
10 points for that.
But yeah, and like I guess EA had an earnings call, and the CEO Andrew Wilson has been playing the next Battlefield game with the development team, and described the game by saying it will be a quote tremendous live service, and that's it. And everyone's done already.
I saw all that I needed to see.
It literally is like the worst thing he could have said about this game. And I guess you thought I don't know. I'm just assuming this dude, I don't know anything about him. I'm assuming he's so out of touch that he thinks live service is a buzzword in the good sense, and doesn't realize that everyone hates that.
So I'll take a couple of things off of what you said, and I think I can respond to both of them.
Okay.
First off, you said that you think is he out of touch? I don't think so, because of what he said. I think it's supposed to be the other way around. He was saying it's a live service, but it's a tremendous live service. Like he was explaining that he. So I think that
It's
the
different.
qualifier was tremendous, not a tremendous live service, a tremendous live
Oh,
service. That's how I read
interesting.
that.
That's an interesting way to put it.
And I think that that would be an apt way, because that is the thing right now, right? You have good and bad live services. What he's
Yeah.
trying, I think, what he was trying to communicate there was, this is one of the good ones, not one of the shit ones. Which, the fact that he says he's been playing it, that's something I've never seen like an exec talk
Yeah.
about before, and I like that. I don't like EA, but that's cool that if he's actually doing that. Very cool. That's it. That's the best way to be a good CEO, even if you're not a gamer. Do the stuff that your company actually does. But then the second part is, you got to look at the audience here. He's live service is a good buzzword to investors,
True.
because that's where all the money is for the big companies. So he did know his audience, and he did say the buzzword. But also, I do want to take that one step back and say, I think he was saying it's a tremendous live service, not a tremendous live service. That's all.
I actually have a lot of faith in the next Battlefield.
Sorry, wait, Kimmy, do you have anything to say to that? You seemed really
I
seemed really into my wordplay.
I just really like your take that it's just such a
It's a tremendous live service,
Yeah.
not a tremendous live service.
yeah.
It makes
It makes sense. It makes sense though. Because I definitely read it the second way, the bad way. But it's been what, 3 years since the last Battlefield came out, and it had a shelf life of like not even like 2 days.
Yeah,
So,
that was. Here's what I want. Right, I want somebody other than Call of Duty to have that kind of big live service market, right?
Yeah.
Like that nobody else, like maybe Tarkov could kind of come close to like kind of taking
we
like
can talk about
popularity.
Tarkov. I forgot about Tarkov.
I've never played. I know that there's a whole thing about it though. I've been because I follow one of the streamers I follow is PokeLols, and so I know all about the.
Oh my god.
But yeah, the you got me talking about Tarkov. Tarkov is still very niche. It's got a good following, but the numbers aren't as high as a Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefield always was that one that felt like at any point it could go toe to toe, and then for Battlefield 2, I think it did. I think it outsold at the time, was that Modern Warfare 3 or was that Modern Warfare 1? But either way, like at one point Battlefield seemed like it could topple Call of Duty, and then it just kind of got ruined.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from this is that they're excited to be able to fight back against Call of Duty again for the first time in a long time, and if that's the case, I'd be happy for that.
Yeah, I also feel like Battlefield is in like this weird position where a lot of games like this are trying to do, the kind of like the Fortnite, Roblox kind of thing where you have like a bunch of game modes in one game. But like I weirdly feel like Battlefield could actually pull it off if
they did. They always had multi modes. Like Call of Duty had their deathmatch and King of the Hill, and it was all the same, but like Battlefield had like vehicle shit that you could do, and there were different game
like I
types,
feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the next Battlefield like released, with a battle royale mode, with a Tarkov PvPvE mode, and then of course having like the traditional multiplayer on top of that. And I feel like, strangely, even though I haven't played Battlefield since Battlefield 3, or whenever that was, I feel like for some reason that they could like actually be the ones to like pull off having all like the kind of game mode equivalent of buzzwords. I don't know how you would describe like a battle royale mode or like a Tarkov mode. Just like those game modes that like everyone is trying to put into their games but failing. I feel like for some reason Battlefield could do a really good job at that.
You know, we call it Battlefield 1, but they didn't know at the time there was going to be a Battlefield 2. So they just called it the Great Battlefield. Yep, I'm seeing that joke did land. Okay.
Woogie, what is...
So Disney, now I can't tell if you're actually thinking and looking back and going, that joke was actually brilliant. Or if you're laughing at how little reaction that you guys had, literally laughing at yourselves then.
I just feel you're so feisty this week.
I have no idea what that joke was even supposed to like be making fun of.
Again, there's one person somewhere that's like, it was because we talked about that way with World War One. What did they call it? Because they didn't know there was, so they called it the Great War. So I was like, Battlefield 1.
Okay, that's a stretch.
That wasn't a stretch. That was a perfect joke. It was the perfect joke.
Oh
you don't understand how good this joke was.
It's on levels you didn't even register.
You need Kimmy, take that, clip me just telling that joke all the way to me looking over at my phone and saying it landed, and post that on TikTok. It will get 1 million views.
Please do. Honestly, please do, because I don't think it'll get any. And I need to be either proven right or wrong.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it off with this conversation of do this. I don't think so, and then we'll go into it.
Just
post the joke. Nothing nothing before, nothing after.
Just me saying, what did they call Battlefield 1 before Battlefield 2? They didn't know there was going to be a Battlefield 2. They called it the Great Battlefield.
Okay.
Just that joke. Not that one. That one wasn't a good delivery. The other one was a really good delivery.
The original delivery.
All the way up with the complete lack of response from both of you at this amazing joke. Amazing joke. I'm actually really still impressed with how good that joke was.
My mouth hurts.
See, it's funny.
Okay, hold on. Let me... First of all, I like how this
We have something to say about Tarkov.
Yeah, Tarkov. But
go ahead, Kimmy. Go ahead, Kimmy. Then we'll come back to Tarkov.
No. Go ahead. Do Tarkov.
Tarkov put some
Tarkov
new bundle.
Developers are a piece of shit.
Yeah, they put some new pay to win bundle in the game or something, and people are really mad about it.
I heard somebody explain this very specifically of why it's actually a bad thing. It's funny to just talk about, Tarkov's dead now because it was always kind of dead. Tarkov seems like really fun. But what was good about it, and this is actually something that I don't want, I don't want a realistic game to the point where if I sprain my ankle during a fight, then I'm gonna limp the rest of it. There's too far realism, but Tarkov boasted itself on, you get shot, you're going to die, right? It's realism. It's like if you reload your clip, or magazine, whatever you want to call it, you reload and you still have bullets in the magazine, you aren't just magically going to get another full magazine and have your ammo. You're now going to have a magazine that has less ammo and one in your gun. Like realistic kind of things that you have to actually think about. And I liked it. I like that idea. But in this bundle, they have basically an armored personnel carrier. You could just go in and just run over everybody in the game, and very, very realistic to have in these in this war-torn middle of nowhere, can't have reinforcements battlefield where only people are and there's so little resources, but they can airdrop you an APC. That was the first thing from it. The second thing was it's $250.
Yeah.
And the third thing is that apparently there were some early adopters of Tarkov that basically paid a lifetime season pass as kind of Kickstarter thing. I think it was like not Kickstarter, but like they were in early access. They paid for, yeah, sure, we'll give you X number of dollars and we'll get everything you ever release. Kind of as like an early access thing. Pretty cool idea. They don't get access to this.
Ice.
So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of problems with this, and then I think their response was to lower the price to like $230.
It took $20
something
off.
like a spit in the face. I don't think that was the exact thing, but it was like they have no response to it and they're not backing down, and people are like, all right, well, here come all the APCs when I'm just trying to play my game.
I have one friend who plays Tarkov, and that one friend is now not playing Tarkov until that is taken out of the game.
Yeah, lots of people, and okay. I know that I just went through a whole thing, and so I don't want. If there's another topic, there's other things to talk about. That's fine. I did want to talk about the Helldivers 2 stuff.
What?
So.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that
because that's obviously really important. And I know we're coming to the end, but I do want to see. I know Kimmi, you were about to say something before I went into Tarkov. I want to make sure that your voice is heard, and if you had something to say.
I was gonna say for someone.
No, yeah, you're welcome. You know, as a man, you know, I can really be sympathetic to the plight of women being mansplained to, which mansplaining is. If you didn't, it's where, you know, a guy takes something that's very simple and over explains it in a way because he thinks that you're stupid, which of course you're not, you know. Anyway, please go. Please allow me to, you know, I let go of my time. I release my time and give it to you to use.
Great, thank you. I was gonna say, for how we started off by saying we don't know if we'd even hit 60 minutes. We're gonna go over 90 minutes.
Not yet. We can finish this conversation.
We can finish. Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2. Go.
You wanna give the gist and then
I'm just a female. I don't know anything about Helldivers 2.
No, I wasn't motioning to you, obviously.
Oh, okay.
You were on my stream. Yeah, so Helldivers 2, massive success. Everyone knows it. Everybody loves it. Everybody had a good time. Oh, wait a second. PlayStation now requires you to sign into a PlayStation Network account in order to play the game. Like a month after it came out. And if you don't sign into a PlayStation Network account, you will no longer have access to a game that you paid $40 for. You paid for it. Doesn't matter how much. You paid for it, and you've been playing it for hundreds of hours. You lose all access to it if you don't sign in with a PlayStation Network account. And before anyone jumps on me, because I hate this move, before anyone's like, oh, it's not hard to sign up for a PlayStation Network account, blah, blah, blah. There's like 17 different regions of the world where Helldivers 2 is a playable game and people have been playing it. And PlayStation doesn't have PlayStation Network in those regions. So those people were literally just losing out on playing a game after having bought it months ago.
Okay, so I have a PlayStation account. It got hacked 2 years ago. I've never called PlayStation to open it. I just left it.
But yeah, that's like the biggest issue is that, one, it's like scummy as shit to like all of a sudden revoke access to a game people already paid for.
Super scummy.
If you're gonna require the PlayStation Network account thing, do it at launch or don't do it at all. And also just don't do it at launch, because you then rid millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people from different parts of the world to be able to access your games.
Did they say what their reasoning is? And didn't they take
No,
this
it's
back?
just like business. It's just like they did take it. They rolled it back because they got so much negative shit about it. But they're still doing it with the Ghost of Tsushima PC port. You'll have to sign in to play it, so that just takes it away from a bunch of people already. But yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna say, but super shitty thing to do. Oh, it's a business thing because their like PlayStation numbers were down. You know, like they didn't have enough people, like enough users signed up for PlayStation Network or whatever, and so they implement stupid shit like this to like arbitrarily boost their numbers so like investors will be happy. That's nothing to do with the game or anything.
So I just want to preface this by saying anything I'm about to say, that generalizes any
Makes me
groups of
nervous.
people.
Woogie, no.
Danny, you're excluded. Just know, I don't mean you.
I know.
Even if what I describe is a group of people that responded exactly the way you are, and I disagree with it, I don't disagree with you.
Say what you're gonna say.
I think that the Helldivers 2 community is extremely toxic in a way that is not the same as other games, because you see, like, they before this even happened, their community was getting mad at each other for the people who were min-maxing everything and writing out stuff and not having fun with the game, and then they were mad that people having fun with the game weren't playing it right. And there are people that were like, if I see this, I'm immediately kicking, and I hate the and so already there, I think that there was a strange community that kind of formed around Helldivers that we haven't seen before. I think that was the perfect storm to introduce whiny crybabies about stuff
Woogie!
that isn't important. Again, not you, Danny. Not.
That's
I'm.
true.
But here's my. I don't think. I think that this still would have been just as big of an issue with the community if PlayStation Network was available in all those regions. I still think that they would have been just as mad. They would have been just as angry. They just wouldn't have had that reason to hang the laurels on.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that the person who posted on Reddit with their conversation with Steam support that they live in Lithuania and PlayStation Network is not. I don't believe for one second that guy actually lives in Lithuania. And I think that this is a little bit of a white knight kind of thing where we're like, yeah, that's why I'm mad, because there are some people that can't play it now. It's like, no, just sign up for the goddamn PlayStation account. It is not that big a deal.
Do you have
and
to
if you
pay
can't
for
play
it,
the game
or is it
anymore
just
because you
free?
don't have a PlayStation account, then either they need to figure that out or refund you, which they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that this was the biggest, shittiest, most crybaby protest against something that made no difference to anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot. I know. I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on. Like, if you're living in like fucking Nebraska and you fucking have 1,000 hours on Helldivers 2 and you're too lazy to sign up and make a PlayStation Network account, then yeah, like get over it. Like, who cares? Like, it does take 2 seconds to make a PlayStation account. Just make one, log in. You never have to worry about it again.
Unless it gets hacked.
And I also think it's shitty in a part to take it out on the developers, because the developers were taken off guard just as much as we, like, the players were. But
and also
then you also have
Steam
like the review bombing on Steam is like, oh yeah, that's kind of like, I can see the problems with it, but also you have to do something like that to get attention. So like, I understand that part, but again, it's all predicated on the fact I don't care about, dude in Colorado playing Helldivers 2. Like, I care about the actual people in Lithuania or wherever in the world that like would just lose access to their games.
Do you actually, like, how we don't know how many people? There could be less than 100 people in those
It doesn't
regions.
matter,
like,
in my opinion. They paid for the game, they should be able to play it. But that's I have no stake in this. I don't have
huge stretch. Yeah, no,
I don't have Helldivers 2. I never played it, but like,
me neither.
if
we're on the opposite sides of the issue, and neither of us were even in it.
If there's actually people in regions of the world that were losing access to the game, which I
highly doubt.
If
I never saw any proof of that.
If all that was real, then I get being mad about that part specifically. And I get, living in the US and trying to stick up for those people. But if you're hopping on that as like your like you said, like whole white knight thing, but like in reality you're just too lazy to make a PlayStation account, then like fuck off. Like you're
and it's not usually that like it's they're too lazy. It's usually some sort of conspiracy theory about how
yeah.
PlayStation is somehow going to sell your data in a way that's not cool, and they're just trying to force you to sign the terms and conditions. It's
Everyone
like,
sells
no,
your data.
they're not.
Yeah.
They probably already
They
have
already
your
have
data.
it.
Even if you've never touched a PlayStation, Sony probably has your data from someone.
Yeah.
And that's where
They
I think
always
a lot of that's
yeah,
coming from.
they always have some illogical reasoning why they can't make a PlayStation account or why they can't take the time out of their day to like do this. And if you're angry about
That's
it
what I
because
meant
of
by the
that,
toxic
yeah.
community.
No,
Though. It's like
I agree with
the
you for
type
sure.
of people that globbed onto this game are the type of people to say that that's why, but really they just wanted to be contrarian or had a different reason for it that was more ridiculous, like a conspiracy theory about TOS, but found like, oh yeah, that is a good thing that I'm feeling good about, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna email support and say that I'm from Lithuania and post it on Reddit and get the karma. Like it's
Well,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that sure, it's a good thing to do that, but also like the odds of it even affecting anybody were pretty slim.
But I'm also, if there's one person in the world losing access to it because of it, I don't think Sony should do it. Like I think
I don't care
that's
about them.
stupid.
anyways.
No, I'm dead serious. I don't care about them.
I mean, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's
While
kind
we're
of funny, but yeah, like no, like seriously, if this one change makes one person lose access to the game in the world, and that's the only thing, no, I don't care about that person. They probably have other stuff to deal with that is much more frustrating than not playing Helldivers 2.
Well, on that note, we're gonna wrap this up on Woogie's cheerful.
No, I have more to say.
Passion, empathy.
Woogie, whenever you're running the stream, we can go as far over time as you want to go.
No, I'll fade myself out. Oh, don't cut away from here. No, I agree. I think we got our says in. I think says. Yeah, we got our says in.
Last thing, we didn't get to talk about it, but go play Animal Well. New game released by Big Mode, which is the publishing company that Videogamedunkey created. And it has stellar reviews, Game of the Year talk already. And it came out today.
What's it called?
Animal Well.
Sweet.
I will say, big fan of Dunkey. I actually just today made a reference to him while I was playing Grand Theft Auto and got beat up by somebody, and the people that were staying around me didn't get it. I said, "For what though? For what?" And which is a great recurring theme in his videos, and I've been really excited for it. This is again one of those things. I don't know if it's my type of game that I would enjoy, like that I would get into playing, just because it's like it doesn't hit my endorphins in the right way, but I will still probably buy it.
Sweet.
I love the idea of him constantly reviewing games and people in the comments being like, "Oh, if you're such an expert, why don't you make a game?" And then
that's how he announced it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I love him. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and my dog is looking at me, and I think she wants to go out, so I should probably do that. So it's a good time to end.
Good. I'm glad you approve, Woogie. That is the end of our show. This is Crit by the Illuminerdi. I have been Kimmi Ann, the Blonde Life. I don't know where I was going with that.
Have been. What will you be?
Tune in next week to find out. Oh wait, we won't have an episode.
Yeah,
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
You can find me at The Blonde Life on my social medias, which is Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
TikTok.
Also, again, shout out to Netflix is a Joke Fest. Tickets are still available. Maybe check it out. There's like
really quick.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Another thing. Cut out. This episode actually has been amazing. The times that Danny and I have both responded to you at the exact same time with the exact same words in this episode, it happened at least 5 times. So go back and make a supercut of that, because it is is spot on. Like we
You're
did a
gonna
really.
have to grab the snippets and send it to me because
That's not gonna happen.
okay, good to know. Anywho, Danny, shout yourself out.
Bojic Danny on Twitter/X. Yeah, I don't know. Come follow me. Come, let's talk about the news of the week. I talk about a lot of gaming shit. I talk about NBA.
Yeah, how's the NBA going for you?
My team fell out of the playoffs,
Oh
and
no!
now like my
And
two,
how are the Celtics doing?
unfortunately, really good.
Oh man, I you know when I moved here, a coworker came up and said, "Hey, you ready to live in Windtown?" And you know what? I do like living in Windtown.
You're not gonna win it. I promise you. The Celtics won't. They'll make it, but they won't win.
And if you had tuned into last week or 2 weeks ago, last episode, you would know that Woogie said he doesn't give a care about the NBA.
Sure, I don't. I am glad that I didn't have to be the one to mention that. I'm just doing it for argument's sake.
And Mr. Argumentative, why don't you shout yourself out? Where can they
Yeah,
find you?
you'll find me in the Helldivers 2 subreddit blaming all of the idiots.
That has been our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will not be here next week, but we will be here the week after that, Thursday, 6 p.m. on YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, do all the things that Woogie mentioned earlier.